We were reared in the Christian faith and were indoctrinated into what was right, wrong, and totally unacceptable by the standards of Christianity. Based on Christian doctrine, I may have ventured into the totally unacceptable. So as you will suspect, I have gone through some serious introspection and have been forced to alter the way I viewed some of the things I once held as gospel. Growing up, I always wondered why good intentions did not easily transfer into good results. For at times my impulsive actions yielded results that did not appear positive. But in retrospect, they were empowering and make up the sum total of who I am. As I struggled and stumbled through life, it slowly dawned on me that maybe I was not privy to information that would assist me. I found the brand of Christianity I was exposed to superficial and confining. I wanted a more intimate connection and deeper insight to my spiritual side, and finally came to the realization that in order to access spiritual guidance, I needed spiritual knowledge, a spiritual relationship, and that being good is comparative, and like any other desire, cannot merely be wished for, but must be earned by responsible and single-minded focus and action. In spite of being exposed to the same upbringing and environment, no two people are totally alike in the way they perceive information, how they articulate what they perceive, or how they act on those perceptions. Added to this, or maybe because of, people, no matter how close-knit, will have different experiences. I can fully appreciate this fact because of how different we all are in personality, talents, and natural inclinations. The present generation should be thankful that they live in an era where more and more the truth of who we really are deep down is celebrated and not spurned. It is easier in these times than it was in ours, or more so our mothers, to embrace one's uniqueness instead of towing the line to some figment of society's creation. I had no desire to be ordinary or rote. I did not want my life to be lived just accepting stuff that was not working for me, just because it was acclaimed to be quote-unquote gospel truth. A gospel that, from my observations, was not working in most cases for those who purported it. Who is Deirdre? What is her purpose? How does she find it? Those were my questions, and I was bent on finding answers. Being different and seeking self has consequences. We may disappoint and sometimes unintentionally hurt those who love us. But to me, coming to terms with who we really are is worth that risk. Mankind could not have evolved this far if not for our innate desire to know. So, I am by no means unique as far as wanting to know more and more and to be more. Let me get to the point. I know the Bible speaks out against divination, but in doing so, it acknowledges the reality of communicating with spirit. The arguments used include entertaining evil and untried spirits. So, since that perception is based on a dual world theory, there is at least a 50-50 chance of entertaining good spirits. However, we too are born of spirit, a sort of hybrid, as it were. So, should I refrain from finding out about the other half of who I am? Because some of them are reputed to be bad and their ways are unfamiliar? I think not. And my argument is that there will most probably be pertinent information to be derived from such a quest. Should I just trust that this judgment came from a place of love and is not tainted with fear of the unknown? Should I assure myself that this judgment of good and evil, negative and positive, is based on sound knowledge free from bias? Or should I have faith in that inner voice that propels me to see for myself? That inner voice that draws on all I have learned to be it through conditioning or stepping outside the box. That voice that has earned my trust. Would I be betraying what my family held dear, or would I be expanding our genetic database? The Bible speaks of spiritual gifts. Isn't speaking in tongues of the Spirit? Is it only good spirits that speak through this medium? What about being inspired? Does inspiration manifest only from good, godly substance? Thoughts too, I think, are spiritual in origin. And we all know those run the full gamut. My reasoning is, since we have been inadvertently dealing with spirits from inception, wouldn't it be instructive to be to some degree more conversant with the subject? Or is this only for the ordained? Am I to be totally dependent on the clergy when I come up against spiritual wickedness in high places and for my everyday spiritual life? Are we not told in the same Bible that we too can perform miracles like Jesus did? I take full responsibility for my delve into the unknown. I do not condemn Christianity or any other path that attempts to guide in seeking God's will for our lives. But when my time comes to exit the stage of life in this realm, I want to do so knowing that I made every attempt to find true spirituality by crying out to the true and living God to reveal his or herself in my day-to-day life, taking me by the scruff of the neck if needs be. Religion, while having its irrefutable merits, can be dogmatic, and though contains wisdom that is timeless, can be inflexible in aspects of life that to my mind are of an era long gone. I refuse to believe that a God of love will allow me to burn forever in hell's fire. What is this hell thing anyway? Although there were words that were almost taboo, I saw both sacrifice and ritual within Christianity. This made it somewhat easier for me to accept them within other traditions. Abraham was prepared to sacrifice his only son. Nowhere is it written that he was horrified by the request. He was then given permission to use an animal instead. Animal sacrifice was removed when they crucified Christ, and that sacrifice is enacted over and over and over, with the drinking of his blood and eating of his flesh. It is a ritual that can be labeled cannibalistic and barbaric by those who do not agree with or appreciate its symbolism. These are just some of the thoughts I have entertained over the years. My first introduction to the concept of spiritual beings working on behalf of God and man being empowered mystically, came in my early years attending Sunday school, which was an everyday Sunday must. We were taught of angels who were God's messengers. Michael, Gabriel, and Lucifer come to mind. There were also the well-beloved accounts of Daniel in the lion's den, Moses' role in the plight and flight of the Egyptians, and many more. Added to this, the entire life of Jesus, including preconception, was way beyond the ordinary. So it wasn't that difficult to come to terms with the concept of heavenly beings interacting with or intervening on behalf of mankind and running errands on behalf of God. I needed a more hands-on approach to my spiritual life where it felt more participatory and comfortable. I am by no means saying I have found all the answers, but I have found a tradition that allows me to explore my spirituality with a greater sense of balance, using methods for meaningful spiritual interaction. By the same token and open-minded fairness, I will freely admit that the Yoruba tradition, like any other ancient spiritual teaching, is rife with cultural dogma. But then, I am not an advocate for their teaching, or any other for that matter. I am simply acquiring tools to help me live a harmonious life that eliminates fear-based thoughts and beliefs and assists me in assisting others develop and achieve balance in their lives. This may be a good place to add that divination is not necessarily about knowing the future, but the knowing of possible outcomes so we can be guided. I have deliberated with myself and others as to whether divination and sacrifice are manipulative, and I have concluded that we are all manipulators. We were born that way. Have you ever had a baby overpower you, using a combination of tears and coy smiles to get his or her way? While pondering about manipulation, I realized that many of our actions are used to influence outcome, including prayer, as it serves to manipulate not only self, but the free will of others. Being ethical and a humanitarian aids in how we engage our innate manipulative skills. To enforce influence responsibly comes with maturity of all aspects of self. Whenever we seek to improve our lot, be it through education, diet, exercise, or prayer, we are attempting to alter future outcomes. Deliberating on manipulation has clarified in detail to me the destructiveness of abuse, not only as it applies to divination, but that the misuse of power in any area of life is unsavory. A helpful thought of caution when exercising power is the profound knowledge that whatever we think, say, or do, be it to other or self, ultimately has a ripple effect that affects all. Let us all use this time to examine our belief system.